Hi Booktube, Aaron here. I hope you're doing okay. Today for Tag Tuesday, I'm going to do the Bookish A to Z. What's it called? The Bookish A to Z Hot or Not tag. This was created by Greg from Another Bibliophile Reads, and I have been tagged by three people. I've been tagged by Gareth from Book Songs Another Magic, by Elizabeth from Bookhands and Books, and also by Grix from Grix etc. So thank you, all three of you, for the tag, and I'll attempt to do my best. It's a very sort of seat of the pants kind of tag. It's all about initial reactions to sort of certain things to do with reading. So I've got the prompts up here, and I'll just try to give my initial reaction as to whether they're hot or not. And so for A, we've got audiobooks, and already I find myself in a grey area. For the purpose of this, I'm going to say not, just because I don't gravitate towards audiobooks. I don't have anything particularly against them, and kind of think in the future I probably will have to utilise them a little bit at some point, but yeah, it's not something that I gravitate for my reading at the moment. B is Bildungsroman, so dealing with a person's formative years or their spiritual education. For me, that's a yes. I've read lots of Bildungsroman that I've really enjoyed. C is children's books, which is again a hot for me. They're always really good ways to to cheer up after reading big depressing novels. So yeah, I enjoy children's books. D is for digital, which again is a hot for me. I haven't been using my e-reader very much over the last few months, but it is something that I enjoy doing. I go through periods of reading a lot on my e-reader. E is for experimental, which again I feel quite torn about. I feel like I do enjoy boundaries being pushed and reading something that's is different and isn't quite like anything else you've read before. But there is a lot of stuff that is kind of saying it's experimental or is trying to be experimental that is also quite, it's really just quite superficial. So it's a hard one. But I think when an author is doing something genuinely experimental and genuinely original and actually kind of hitting on target what they're trying to do, that's a hot for me. F is fantasy, which is hot for me. I think The Lord of the Rings is one of the things that got me into reading. So even though I don't read that much fantasy these days, it is I've got a large debt to fantasy as a genre, and I would like to read more fantasy. So I'll have to get back to that. G is for graphic novel. I think I'll have to go with not for this. Again, kind of like with audiobooks, that I have nothing against them. It's just something that I haven't gravitated towards yet. H is for horror, and again, that's a not for me. Yeah, just don't find it particularly interested, and don't particularly relish the idea of scaring myself for fun. And so yeah, horror is a not. I is for inspirational. I quite like it when a book is accidentally inspirational, but when it is a kind of self-help book or something like that, there is a very kind of almost a didactic thing going on, or the author is it's just going to be full of generalizations and someone trying to tell you how it really is, and I find that a bit distasteful. So it'll be a not for inspirational. J is for journalism, which is a hot for me. I mean, when it comes to news journalism on the whole, I don't read that much of it. I tend to occasionally watch the news, but um, I do find it very valuable. And I, also read a lot of book reviews and sort of essays in periodicals and things. So yeah, journalism is hot. K is for kitsch, something that has popular or sentimental appeal. Um, I'll go for not on that, just based purely on a kind of gut reaction. L is for library. I'll go with hot. I do need to utilise my library more. I've only used it a couple of times this year, but I, I just love sitting in libraries, and they are wonderful places. So libraries are hot. M is for mystery. That's hot for me as well. I do enjoy a mystery, whether it's sort of a genre mystery or a classic, or just sort of general fiction with a kind of a mystery element to it. I always enjoy that. And just coming at any book, kind of like You're the Detective, can also be quite fun sometimes as well. N is for non-fiction. That's a hot for me as well. Yeah, not too much to say, but I've been trying to get better at reading history and things like that this year. O is for omnibus. I will say, I will go with hot for this. I do like having omnibuses, and it's quite an assuring feeling to know that you've got either all of an author's work or a good representation of their work all in one place. So I've got an omnibus. I think it's just behind me somewhere. Yeah, just here. It's not all of Oscar Wilde, but it's a good chunk of Oscar Wilde's output. So I just like the idea that I've got it all here. I've got all of the plays, the Picture of Dorian Gray, most of his poetry, all in one place whenever I want it. So I'll go with hot for omnibuses. P is for poetry, and that's a hot for me. So from down here all the way almost to the ceiling, it's just full of poetry books. So that's a hot for me. Q is for quests. When the protagonist goes on a quest, physical or spiritual. Since I'm a third of the way through the Divine Comedy, I think I have to say that's hot. R is for romance. I think unless it's an Arthurian romance, then it's not for me, unfortunately. S is for science fiction. I think, yeah, I don't know why I'm pausing there. That is a hot for me. There was a point about probably nearly a decade ago where I had a silly theory that the only interesting fiction to be published from the mid 20th century onwards was just science fiction. I thought that no valuable fiction at all had been written, sort of after 1960. And I've read a few things to prove that theory wrong. But yeah, I do need to read a lot more science fiction, and I definitely have a pull in that direction. T is for translation. Books translated from one language into another, and that's again hot for me. I really, really enjoy reading translated literature. I think just the idea of there being translations of books I've sort of never heard of from all around the world just coming out every year, that's exciting. It kind of broadens my horizons when I'm thinking of what's being written now. Although I very rarely read new releases, but it's good to have that broader view. But then also when it comes to classics, and there being so many different translations of classic works of literature, I really love that, and I'm getting into a place now where if I really enjoy a certain book that's written in another language, I think I am starting to pick up multiple translations, and I'll be comparing those translations and seeing which one I prefer. U is for Übermensch, the Superman or the extraordinary human. So this is for characters who can do everything. I'll go with not for this. I find it a little bit boring. I'm not particularly attached to Superman or to Nietzsche either, so yeah, it's a not for me. V is for Victorian, literature from 1837 to 1901, and that's a hot for me. I love a nice big Victorian novel. W is for Western. I'll go with a not with this. Again, it's just something that I'm not particularly gravitated towards. I've read a couple, but can't remember much about them, and again, there's just not that pull towards them. X-rated, again, is not for me. I haven't read any purely X-rated books, and most of the time, when X-rated stuff turns up in books, I tend to find it more awkward than titillating. Maybe that's just because I'm British. Y is for young adults. Again, I'm kind of feeling a bit half and half, but I think I'll go with not. Again, there's just not that much of a pull. And Z is for zeitgeist, spirit or mood of the times. And I think, again, I'll be quite cynical and go with not. I've heard a few people saying that you can't really tell the zeitgeist until a little bit afterwards anyway. And even then, it's a very pernickety way of looking at the past, and really there are lots of different avenues that are kind of going on. And there might be one that's a little more popular than others, but there's probably a lot more that's being left out that's still valuable and interesting. So I'll go with a not on that. And there we go. I've got to the end. In the spirit of the tag, I haven't prepared anything, so I haven't thought of anyone to tag. So for the second week in a row, I will leave this as an open tag. So if you would like to do this, but haven't done it yet, then please consider yourself tagged and give it a go. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye.